On Law Weekly today, we feature another perspective on two key recommendations proposed for constitution amendment. We also talk about the standard of legal education in the country today. Our guest is Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Kemi Balogun. That's the lineup for this episode of Law Weekly on Channels Television. I am Shola Sheyeli. Let's begin with a recap of the top legal stories that we tracked last week.
We begin with the good news of the release of the immediate past president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Oke Wali. The current president of the NBA, Mr. Augustine Alege San, said in a statement last week Friday that Mr. Wali was released at about 11 p.m. on Thursday night. He was said to be hale, hearty, and in good spirit. The release came 13 days after he was abducted in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. While commending the various security agencies for the safe release of Mr. Wali, the NBA has challenged the government to be alive to its responsibility of addressing the increasing spate of insecurity in the country. And in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, a federal high court has refused to grant an application brought by the federal government seeking to conduct the trial of Senator Ali Ndume in secret. Senator Ndume is standing trial for allegedly failing to inform law enforcement agencies of the activities of the outlawed Boko Haram sect. Ruling on the application, Justice Gabriel Kolaole said that while the accused was entitled to fair hearing and fair trial, the state has a responsibility of protecting the lives of prosecution witnesses during the trial. He said that the application was caught between fair hearing and state responsibility, thereby necessitating the court to strike a balance between the two ends. Another federal high court in Abuja has fixed December the 1st for judgment in the suit filed by the former managing director and chief executive officer of the Nigeria Security Printing and Minting Company, Mr. Hidiamen Okoyomon, who is challenging his extradition to the United Kingdom. Mr. Okoyomon is wanted in the United Kingdom over his alleged role in the bribery scandal involving officials of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Nigerian Security Minting and Printing Company, and Securrency International of Australia, an offense said to have been committed between 2006 and 2008. His lawyers are challenging the jurisdiction of the court to hear the application seeking for his extradition to the UK to face trial on those charges. And the Supreme Court last Friday sacked a member of the Delta State House of Assembly representing Ughelli North. The Apex Court, in a unanimous judgment, ordered him to within 90 days refund to the state coffers all the salaries and allowances he had collected since he had been occupying the seat in 2011. The court held that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had wrongfully issued the certificate of return to Akpodiete even when it was aware that he had ceased to be the sponsored candidate of the DPP more than 45 days before the State House of Assembly election held on April the 26th, 2011. The Apex Court described INEC's action in the case as worrisome and therefore awarded a total cost of 650,000 naira each against the Commission and Idoja. In Lagos, the coroner inquiring into the cause of the September 12 collapse of a building at the Synagogue Church of All Nations has summoned the founder of the church, Prophet T.B. Joshua. He is to appear before the inquest on Wednesday the 5th of November to tell the coroner what he knows about the incident which left about 115 people dead and several others injured. The building contractor is also expected to testify on the same day. The coroner has also scheduled how the court will take witnesses for the rest of the inquest with officials of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, the Lagos State Ministry of Works, and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, the Nigerian Red Cross, the media, and other witnesses all billed to testify. The South African High Commissioner, Mr. Lulu Louis Munguni, who was at the inquest, also says South Africa will cooperate with Nigeria to ascertain the cause of the incident and ensure there is no repeat. And we round off with the news that Olympic and Paralympic sprinter Oscar Pistorius started his 5-year jail term sentence on Tuesday for killing his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp, marking the end of a trial that has gripped South Africa and millions around the world. His uncle, Arnold Pistorius, has indicated he will not appeal. In delivering her decision, 67-year-old Masipa stressed the difficulty of arriving at a decision that was fair and just to society and to the accused. She also rebuffed suggestions that Pistorius, a wealthy and influential white man, might be able to secure preferential justice despite the equality before law guarantee enshrined in the post-apartheid 1996 Constitution. Steenkamp, a 29-year-old law graduate and model, died almost instantly on Valentine's Day last year when Pistorius shot her through a locked toilet door at his luxury Pretoria home. Prosecutors pushed for a murder conviction, but the athlete maintained he fired in the mistaken belief an intruder was hiding behind the door, a defense that struck home in a country with one of the world's highest rates of violent crime. The state prosecuting authority, who has 2 weeks to decide whether to launch an appeal against the verdict, said Pistorius was likely to serve at least a third of his sentence in prison, or 20 months. On a separate conviction for firing a handgun in a parked Johannesburg restaurant, Pistorius was given a 3-year suspended sentence.
And now to our interview segment. As usual, we'll look at some topical legal issue and serve you another perspective on them. Though my guest today is best known for his work as an insolvency practitioner, he's also an authority on commercial law and renders legal opinion to banks, multinationals, and governments. He's also a chartered arbitrator skilled at resolving disputes. In this interview, Mr. Kemi Balogun shares his perspective on the situation in Ekiti State, the standard of legal education, and some of the proposed amendments for constitution review. Thank you for talking to us. You were a consultant to the Ekiti State government, and I know that it must bother you what's going on with the judiciary there, the assault and all of that. But what sense have you been able to make of, what has happened, and how do you think we can proceed going forward?
That's a very tough one, and a very sad development in the history of Nigeria as a country. Now, particularly in this era of democracy, rule of law, and due process. And I say that with all sense of responsibility. Where you have government and things fall below the ebb, and where judicial officers are being molested, are being assaulted, are being dragged on the floor, their rope torn, then there's nothing. Nothing. It's a sad chapter, and I doubt very much, even in the military era, whether that happened. And up till date, nobody has been arrested. Up till date, nobody has been prosecuted for that heinous crime. If it could happen in Ekiti, it's a matter of time it will happen elsewhere. And the same politicians, much later, whether you be a politician, whether you be a legislator, whether you be in the judiciary, whether you be rich and poor, at the end of the day, you will seek justice one day. And you will go within the confines and the ambits and the paraphernalia of law. And you will expect justice to be done. And unknown to you, you have trampled down justice, you have destroyed and you have desecrated the altar of justice. It is sad, and that is just being mild. And there's nothing that, there's no atonement other than the culprit being apprehended and due process take its course.
But How do you think that we can best insulate our judiciary from politics and the antics of politicians?
The first thing is judicial autonomy. The first is judicial autonomy. When you start with judicial autonomy, then you know the Constitution guarantees it. But what do you find in real life? You find in real life that the CJ is more of at the beck and call of the governor, and is supposed to do the bidding of the governor. Where what you find in all over, well, give kudos to some states now who have promulgated the judicial autonomy bill. You talk about Bayelsa, you talk about, I think, Rivers also, and I'm sure that I have it on good authority that Lagos judicial autonomy bill is in the pipeline, is about to be promulgated. But the promulgation is one. The will to give it teeth is key. And it is not for the judiciary, it's for the state of Nigeria.